Elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. Presentation by Indira, guest lecturer, English Department, SF, CPA College, Bodinayakanur. Thomas Gray, 26 December 1716, 30 July 1771, was an English poet, letter writer, classical scholar, and professor at Pembroke College, Cambridge. He is widely known for his elegy written in a country churchyard, published in 1751. Being a transitional poet, Gray shows his faith in a classicism also. Gray is a great transitional poet who displays romantic qualities. Gray was a self-critical writer who published only 13 poems in his lifetime despite being very popular. He was even offered the position of Poet Laureate 1757 after the death of Colley Cibber, though he declined. Meditative poetry, graveyard poetry, it's a place, graveyard of church, inspired, death of his friend Richard West, does not mourn one person, elegy written for common man, 128 lines and 32 stanzas, last 3 stanzas is an epitaph, form quatrains, iambic pentameter. Poem Introduction. Elegy, written in a country churchyard, is a poem by Thomas Gray, completed in 1750 and first published in 1751. The poem was particularly inspired by Gray's thoughts following the death of the poet Richard West in 1742. An elegy, written in a country churchyard, is a meditative poem written in iambic pentameter quatrains. The elegy opens with the narrator musing in a graveyard at the choose of the day. He speculates about the obscure lives of the villagers who lie buried and suggests that they may have been full of rich promise that was ultimately stunted by poverty or ignorance. The churchyard in the poem is believed to be that of Stockpurges, Buckinghamshire, which Gray visited often and where now he lies buried. Setting the mood of the poem. The church bell rings and the day has come to an end. The sound of the herd of cows move towards meadows. The farmers return home after a day of hard work. Now the narrator is alone, left to his own thoughts. The sunlight is fading slowly. There is solemn stillness in that place. Everything seems to so quiet except the occasional and distant bells of the livestock. The atmosphere is peaceful and sleepy. The owl in the church tower is personified to complaining lady. The lady is uncomfortable and complains the presence of an outsider, the narrator. In the graveyard with the dead. Where is the narrator? The narrator is in the place where the country folks are sleeping in narrow cells. Hamlet is a small town, and the country folks are referred as the right forefathers. The narrator is present in the shade of yew trees in the graveyard. Nothing can wake these pupils from their sleep. The lovely breeze, the sounds of twittering swallows, the cock's clarion, horn and the shepherd, nothing can wake the dead. The dead are missing many worldly things, like warm health fire, caring housewife, hugging and kissing kids. When villagers were alive, they did farming happily. They plowed and landed deep and did farming and harvested their crops. The woods bowed to their axes. Fake qualities we adorn life. These men enjoyed in simple pleasures of life. They should not be mocked by ambition and criticized by grandeur. Here is the short and simple life in the common man. Proud nature, power, ambition, beauty wait for the inevitable hour leading to the grave. The common man lying there may not have fluency monuments on their graves, but the church bell tolls and sings their praise. Can honor provoke the dead? Can flattery soothe the cold ear of the dead? Then why all these fakeness? Neglected spots. There would have been passionate people in the graveyard if they had the opportunity. They would have been emperor or a great musician. Knowledge did not unroll its badges in front of them penury suppressed their passions, their previous gems hidden in the deepest oceans. There are lovely flowers which humans can never see and appreciate. People in these unmarked graves too were talented but not recognized. These dead people could have been famous like the fearless John Hampden, intelligent John Milton, or Oliver Cromwell. Mediocre life of villager. They yearned for their living and their situation did not allow them improvise. No opportunity to get applauded. Though they knew that they're capable of winning fame, they stay back or normal life. This quality of preventing them or controlling them is also an advantage because they don't commit high crimes. They don't kill him thrown a merciless to people or run behind luxury and pride. The poor villagers lived peacefully without causing much troubles. The graves aren't fancy, but they have a frail memorial with the names and yearns on it. These people were dependent on dear ones and needed religion when they part. Pays respect to the unnamed graves. How will I remember? Narrator starts contemplating his fate. Some grey haired farmer would say that he had seen him here, often hurrying him to see the dawn. At noon, the narrator would rest under heavily rooted beech tree and stare at the babbling brook. He would be wandering in the woods. He would smile scornfully, murmur, and to be lonely. One day he was not found near the tree, and the next day he was not found near any of his favorite spots. And the third day, the villager noticed his funeral procession. He asked a passerby to read the gravestone. Dead people cannot be awakened. The healthy morning breeze carrying the fresh scents of the morning, the swallows twittering from the shed built by straw, the cocks crowing shyly, or the huntsman's cornering from hill to hill shall no more awaken them from their humble sleeping. No more shall the hearts of the cottagers burn brightly for them. No more shall the busy housewife ply for evening care of spinning and weaving ordinary clothes. No more shall the children run and lisp to the mothers that their fathers have returned home. No more shall the children jump on the knees of their returned parents and share his kisses. Rustics are hard working farmers. The harvest has often yielded to their sickles. The hard earth has often broken into furrows as they ploughed. They have driven their team of ploughed horses to the fields in jolly mood. How the trees have fallen under the steady strokes of their axes. But now all that is gone. The poet advises is ambitious not to mourn at the useful labors, their homely joys, and their humble destinies. The poet advises the proud and the great not to listen with a contemptuous smile to the short and simple records to the lives of those humble people. All will die one day. He points out that the great people who boast of their great family heritage and emblems, the pomp with the which power shows itself off, all the beauty that may be given to one, all the wealth that can ever come to anyone, all of them have to avoid to hour of the death. All the paths of glory lead only to the grave in the end. Simplicity, not a fault. He would like to tell the proud people that if no proud records are engraved over the tombs raised on their graves, it is not at the fault of the people. It is not their fault. If their bodies are not carried in the coffins up, the aisle of a great cathedral, as the notes of the anthem swell with the solemn praise along with the playing of the organ. Great deeds cannot give life. He asked them whether the records written on the urns carrying the remains of the dead or like the marble must be dead can bring back to the dead body the breath of life. He asked again if the recital of a man's great deeds can bring back to life the dust to which a man has been reduced. He asked further whether the flattery can please dull cold ears of the dead. Poet roaming through woods. He would roam through the woods beyond, sometimes speaking to himself his own wandering talk, Sometimes his face sad and worried, as if full of cares or as if disappointed in love. One day they missed him for all his accustomed rounds. The next day also they missed him. And the third day they saw his dead body being carried a coffin up the path of the church to the churchyard. If the person who asked him for wished he could go up to the grave where he was buried and read the epitaph engraved him on the stone under old hawthorn tree. Poet was not a famous when alive. The epitaph: here lies the body of a young man who did not wither fame or fortune. Though of humble birth, he learned science. He went about always with a sad face. Poet was a good friend of poor. He was generous and sincere. He was blessed by God. He was sympathetic to all the troubles of the poor. God granted him all that he asked for, a good friend. Let his merits and his weakness lie with him, and he lies in the lap of God, where all be equal. Thank you.